Good morning, Solutions Group. Guess who? Yep, it's me. Um, I want to invite a friend over here to chat for a little bit, and I'm going to see if there's a way for me to do it. Yes, there is. Let's see if it works. Let's see if it works. Come on, come on. So, whoever just dropped in, I'm inviting somebody in, and he's a little bit of a novice. And let's see. Says I've got a slow connection. Hey, Tater Bug. And it's slowly adding, and hopefully there's enough bandwidth for it to be a decent signal. I'm going to relocate myself a little closer to my head end for Wi-Fi. And there's a person at my door. It's me. How you doing there, young lady? Audience. Ben, if you're watching, I sent an invite and look for... Okay, it said no answer from you. I'm inviting you again, clicking add, and it says adding, but that doesn't mean you're there. But you are there. Good is good. This is a little bit of an organization day. I have a helper coming over, my buddy Mike. Welcome to my front yard. And I have changed packaging processes, and so I've got to pull a bunch of boxes out from where they have been, and they can be put away a little deeper. Okay, now there are two watching. Ben, are you one of them? If you are, type. If you haven't seen the invite to come in, look for it. It's there. My viewers, click button, audience. Now, clicking the invite again. Ben wants to join. Okay. And here he comes. Is that you?
It's my stunt double.
Knock 3 times on the ceiling if you want me. Where in the hell are you?
Hello.
I'm not seeing. I'm not seeing your camera. I'm not seeing your camera feed yet. And my mommy's on. Hi, Mom. Let me see.
Sorry, did I mess this up somehow?
Resume. Let's click this. Allow the audience to ask and participate. Yes. It shows you there, but I'm not seeing your camera in the 2-shot. Are you seeing both of us or just one of us?
I do see both of us, but...
Okay. But for some reason, I only see me. And, okay, so I won't see you.
Well, you're the prettier one.
Well, okay. You're the one who thinks he looks like Don Johnson.
I don't look like Don Johnson. Dear goodness. See here. Okay, so, Geneva Holt says, I see both of you. Hey, Geneva, how are you? This is Christina. My name's Ben. I'm friends with... Is this your mother?
No. Geneva is one of my group moderators, and been around and on my protocol for ever. And she helps me, along with some other moderators, to manage the group. I'm looking at the live at the eyeball, and it says just one person is watching, but it should be the 3 from what I gather at the moment. In any case, I can't see you, but I'm going to introduce you anyway.
All right.
And you
Let me.
and you probably need no introduction. Those of you who have seen the achy back, and I'm sitting on a crappy ass bench, so I'm having little steel holes poked in my butt. Those who have seen my posts about what's happening in Ukraine, we're talking to Ukraine right now. Well, we're talking to Ben and Chris there. And God, it sure would be nice if I could see you.
Yeah.
8 years. 8 years. So what is remove? There's an X with remove. If this screws everything up, I'll restart it. Change to viewer. Okay. Remove Ben as a guest? No, I didn't say that.
I have a great face for radio.
What is remove? Remove must be your image. That's weird. All right, I'm not going to dwell on that. So I'll just be staring at my own face. For fuck's sake. So Ben is in Kherson, Ukraine. It is, I don't know, around 3 o'clock in the afternoon.
Yeah, it's about 4:30. Который час?
4:40.
Huh?
4:40.
Yeah, 4:40. Yeah.
How's the drone action today?
Nothing went up my nose or Chris's nose, but there's usually I'm not aware of any like special calamities today, but it's
And the sensor's not screaming.
Yeah, I don't. Есть, вы знаете, новости сегодня drone. Yeah, we're not aware of any. It's not especially egregious, but that just means sort of the normal degree of war crimes.
Right. I read yesterday, and I think I sent you a copy of the clip. I think it was off of Ukraine News, where an attack on a drone division commander from the other side wiped him out and a bunch of seniors, and may have created a pause in the interactivity in the drone action.
So, there's lots of different kinds of drones, and like I never knew this and never really wouldn't know if I didn't have to, but like
Sure.
a lot of the discussion gets really, a lot of the discourse is really jacked up because there's different flavors of that ice cream, and people kind of like talk past one another. So what we're talking about here are like the FPV drones. There's other kinds of drones, Shahed drones, different kinds. So, and here what makes it so goofy is that, it's really the only major civilian population that's in range of these drones, which are battlefield weapons. So there's really kind of, I'm generalizing here, two kinds: kamikaze drones and so-called dropper drones. The kamikaze really at this point are limited to, they could take out tanks. So
Right.
Really what we see here are dropper drones, basically FPV drones, first-person view drones, very small, very light, very cheap. Can't see them, can't hear them. Most of the time, they're really quick, 120 kilometers per hour, have a battery life of about 45 minutes, and they are flown from across the river.
And they're dropping grenades, where the other ones are dropping bombs that can be 12 inches long and bigger, depending on how big the drone is and its payload capacity.
Yeah, you have basically like long range stuff and short range stuff, and so if you're outside of artillery range, which is 99% of Ukraine, you know, you're looking at long range stuff because you're a long way away. So long range ballistic missiles, and then Shahed drones, which are kind of the drone equivalent of, you know, long range missiles. On the whole, those are obviously few and far between. That's what the news is about, because that's 99% of Ukraine, and you know that's it's far away from the war. You don't have a lot of civilians. You don't need, but up, you know,
North.
we're directly on the front. So these are
Right.
just, I mean, they're very cheap. They're everywhere. There's, I mean, the drone detector in our office detects every day over 100. They're, you know, always in the sky.
Right.
And so, yeah, they have a little camera. They have a grenade. They fly them across the river, hunt a civilian target, and just drop the grenade.
Right.
And you know, all day, every day. It's just kind of slaughter.
When you was it yesterday or the day before, you and John took a drive?
Mm-hmm.
Was that to pick up a load of supplies to resupply the free store? I mean, I know you're not going out sightseeing, but you may have been just to show him what's up.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think. Oh, yes, we went to the one of the other markets. So there's a few markets in the city, and we, you know, the central market's right down the street, and that's one of the primary ones. But there's a big the Dniprovsky Rynek, which is just, you know, 5 minutes away east, is first of all a very intense environment, a different kind of just a different feel. So, you know, it's a big city, so I just wanted to get. So we did drive over there, but man, you know, the little nuances here, Charlie. Like man, if I hadn't been here for 27 months, didn't speak the language, and was not like plugged in,
You'd be
like
dead
the
or
little things, you know, you. So there's, I mean, are you ever like really safe? No, but do you know kind of the high percentage play? Yeah, and that's a high percentage play to go there. So I mean, it was risky, but we're, you know, on the margins, and it's for a limited period of time.
right. Lots more people, lots more targets, and so your odds get better.
You know, over time, like it's just kind of the local knowledge that keeps you. I think what from far away, you know, things are, you know, kind of we tend to generalize, and that's just, you know, we have to.
Sure.
The truth is really specific, and when you get close to the war, man, the difference between, you know, the little things is the difference between being able to do stuff here. You know, it's how you stay alive. So just knowing this kind of nook and crannies, there's just no substitute for that kind of like super detailed knowledge.
How many square blocks are your 1,000 or 2,000 people living in that you are helping?
Well, I mean, we help citywide. So the majority.
What's the
are
furthest somebody comes to you from?
the northern districts of the city. You know, we do have not many, because I mean, frankly, we have to turn a lot of those people away. If you're going to stay alive, you know, unfortunately, we have to turn you away. But there are people in those districts. Not many, but there's a few. The predominance is downtown. You're talking about kind of a downtown urban core of about, I don't know, call it a couple kilometers. Let's just call it like a couple square kilometers, and then it fans out along the riverbank. So,
Got it.
I think so. I should ask. Yeah. People, you know, yeah. I mean, and the people come from pretty good distances, you know, to get here. And that's one of the things that's always troubled me. You know, I knew that we had a serious issue here when out of the blue, we had hundreds and hundreds of people coming here when the situation changed, you know, about a year ago at this point. And when when you're dropping things off, to be perfectly honest with you, Charlie, like if you showed up at my doorstep and asked me if I needed humanitarian assistance, I mean, I'd probably say yes. I don't know if I freaking need it, you know what I mean? But like the delivery model, which you can't use here anyway, but I mean, shit, you need something. But the model for us is they come to us, and we're in the most dangerous freaking place. So it really was a big indicator to me when we had all of these people suddenly coming here, and they're making effort, they're taking risks, they're coming into the most dangerous place to get the basic stuff that they need to live. And that's to me, that was a really, really big indicator of the demand that was troublesome.
Hi, David. Say hi to Ben. He's in Ukraine. One of our members popped in and said, good morning. Good morning back. He's out in
David,
California.
how are you? I'm Ben. This is Christina.
Hello.
She's very important. I'm not.
Well, you're the muscle and she's the brain.
Muscle. Jeez. We're really in trouble, Charlie.
What are you going to do, So, yeah, stand by 1 second. Let me give some instructions to my buddy. Talk to the folks, and I'm going to mute myself for a second. I'll be right back.
Sure.
Ben, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
You can talk to the folks while I'm gone here for 2 minutes.
Gotcha.
I'm
sorry.
I'm going to mute my audio and show you a flower.
Wonderful. So to everyone on here, let me just say thank you for being a great human being, other than, the fact that we all know Bob, no, a wonderful human being as well. But this is just kind of, the signal here isn't great. We're about 1 kilometer, a little bit less than 1 kilometer from what I like to call the Dnieper River, but what they call here the front, because it is just right down the street. This is basically the nerve center. This is kind of as safe as it gets for us, and as stable as it gets for us. You have reliable heat, quasi-reliable Wi-Fi. We're in a big, sturdy commercial building in the heart of downtown Kherson, which is pre-war about 300,000 or 400,000. Big, sturdy walls, a little bit of a buffer from the front side. So the garden variety artillery, the mortar rounds, the artillery rounds, the tank rounds, we're probably going to be good from that. There's lots of other things that we're not going to be good from, but they're not as frequent. And this is where we, work best we can. It's also a supply room now at this point, but, we never envisioned sort of serving on this kind of level. And I appreciate everyone really just doing good and doing good wherever you are, but at least, considering supporting us, we definitely need it. The short version here is that basically it's our mission to keep people alive. It's a very unique place here. It's the one big city that was occupied by the Russians. The people here are survivors of that ghastly systemic torture, rape, execution. Christina right here and her family survived that hellish 9-month experience. And then the Russians went down the street and across the river and have just, laid siege to the city, ever since. So it's a surreal environment, kind of the perfect storm. It really doesn't happen, but you've got 50 to 70 civilians living directly on the front in an urban environment. And that just doesn't happen. There's no model for that. And so it's a long story how we ended up here. I ended up here, and we ended up doing what we do. But it's the one big city that was occupied. It's the one big city that's in artillery range, and that is a different kind of wartime experience. That's kind of the line. If you're in artillery range, there's a whole bunch of things in play that, once you're outside of artillery range, which is about 25 to 30 kilometers, that's a different reality. It's not to say that people don't need help further away from the war. It's a different kind of help. But it is to say that the reality for the people in the so-called frontline areas, which let's define as artillery range. Artillery range, it's very, very different, and that gets even more acute once you get closer to sort of the front. And unfortunately, the city of Busan is directly on the front. So these people have just been, I mean, a wartime experience that really has no analog. Again, the one big city that was occupied in the one big city in artillery range directly on the front. And so, and now the only location that these FPV drones can really kind of saturate, which is something which is new to warfare. So to put it mildly, an insanely dangerous place, the big, kind of foreign, the organizations that you probably think would be helping and that exist to help people like this, I certainly thought they don't really do danger, which is unfortunate, because if you don't do danger at all, then you really are.
Then nobody's coming.
I mean, it's the people. The closer you get to the danger is connected to the need. Show me the most dangerous place, and I'll show you the neediest place. The closer you get to the war, the more people are impacted by it. But by definition, the more dangerous it is. The truth is, you have to have certain things. You don't have to have further away from the war. You have to have no certain. So there's not a whole. But and I didn't set out to acquire those things, but I did. But anyway, our mission is to keep the people alive. They can't stay alive, and so we do that. People come to us.
I want to ask a couple questions.
Yeah.
And I want to lay out some realities. You're in the middle of a city, and you are in an area within almost, I mean, I guess if it was an all-star baseball player, you're in an area where someone could throw a grenade 1,500 feet over the river or use a cheap drone and just come into the city and blow the shit out of you. And that happens 10, 15 times a day. And those guys are entertaining themselves by finding a human or two or three or a car, following them with the drone, and then doing their damage. But what that sets up is, and you have parks, beautiful parks, and it's a beautiful city, but there are mines in all of those parks. And again, because you're in a city, logistically, nobody's doing an airdrop to you. If they airdrop, they're going for a green space, and everything they drop's going to blow up from a mine. So bit by bit, you've got to bring in civilian-sized loads run in by civilians, and specific things that you know that you need, that people need every day, aside from food, personal hygiene items and and it's not like somebody can run down to Target and replace the blanket that, burned up in the building you used to live in. Somebody local's got to go and collect the stuff. And you have done this volunteer life and have amassed others who are members of the small town, if you will, but it's, mid-sized city. And you guys are doing the legwork. And you are trying to do it as broadly as you can, as safely as you can, for as many people as you can. So I guess I got all that right. Now I go further to say, on a daily basis, when someone comes into the free store, which is the place that you set up where you distribute all of this aid to those people that you serve, which I'm hoping continues to grow. I guess you're still at around 900 plus. They come in and they get, they come in and you set them up. They tell you what they have remaining from the last time they collected from you the month before. And so if they don't need a bottle of cooking oil, they don't take one. How does that part work? And then we're going to talk about the dollars and cents on a small scale, obviously. I mean, theoretically, we have an audience, and I see it's an audience of one on my side, which I know can't be true, but once this is done being broadcast, I'm going to make sure it's saved in the group. We're gonna set out what the need is on a small level, dollars and cents, because
This is not about anything other than people sending you money, sending money to World Aid runners, and
So,
tax
so
deductible donations.
yeah. So can I? Let me just. It's tough to get your head around the situation. It's really impossible. Hell, it's tough for me. I've been here 27 months. Let me speak very plainly. This is the apocalypse. To be outside is to seriously risk your life. It's an urban environment directly on the front. The best version of every day is you're getting over 300 incoming rounds into the city, mortar rounds, artillery rounds, tank rounds. They go in bursts, and you are going to have between 80 and 100 drone attacks throughout the city. There's going to be some amount, unalived and injured. It is grisly, gory, horrific. It tends to go in bursts. And so to be outside at all is really, 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 really scary. The city at this point is basically destroyed, at least the front half of the city. You've had 27 months of, first of all, the Russians just taking everything for themselves and robbing it blind. Then 27 months of God knows how many rounds exploding. I mean, outside right now, there's mortars or artillery. So it's primitive. The front half of the city, the northern half is a little bit, maybe a little bit different, but the red zone, the front. So we've got one supermarket. Okay, it all has, the windows are blown out. You walk this way, you're not going to see a building that's not, we're about 1 kilometer from the front. So this is the apocalypse. It's dangerous as hell. It's death. It's destruction. Every day is loss of life, loss of limbs, loss of loved ones, loss of dignity, loss of everything. And at this point, the poverty, especially the front half of the city, is overwhelming because it's such a dangerous place, a uniquely dangerous place, that it hasn't been supplied. There's 50 to 70,000 civilians here. If you can get the hell out of here, you got out of here a long time ago. The only people here are people that can't care for themselves, generally the elderly, caretakers, the poor. So you have people that have gone a long, long time, who are starving, who have basic kind of ailments that for you and I would be a Tylenol or something. But if you don't treat those, so it's overwhelming poverty, people eating out of dumpsters, people getting rubbed out left and right. You have, the best version of every day is maybe, a handful of unalived and injured, 300 incoming from down the street, and 80 to 100 drone attacks. And there's areas where that's more or less intense, but where we are is, in the heart of, so it's just, there's nothing, and I mean nothing, Bob, I mean nothing. It's hard to get your head around that resembles normal life. We are a hidden location in a building in the middle of town. The idea was to fly under the radar, and the idea at first was just to fill a hole. 18 months ago when we started, that's all that was necessary. Now we've had to serve on a much broader scale. The city is closed to foreigners because it is so dangerous. The only reason that I can reside here is because I was granted lawful residency, and no one really knows anybody else that, so that's the only way we can have a residence. People tend to run in and run out to help, but the problem with that model is you cannot do that and supply 50 to 70,000 people. So you have overwhelming poverty, a level of danger that is matter of time danger. Further away from the war, it's lottery ticket. If you are in this environment for some period of time, you are going to lose your life or a limb, 100%. Everybody knows that. And every day that lesson is, it's just, you wake up in the morning, is it going to be you? So what we do is just simply try to keep the people alive. If you're going to stay alive, we generally have to turn you down. But if you're not, you get on this list right here that Christina has, and they make that list. And then she calls you, and at a designated date and time, you come to the free store. We do it in waves because you can't have crowds. They come in, and we are trying to get people in and out as quickly as possible. There's no place that's safe, but the safest place is their home. If they're home, they're not going to be chased by a drone,
Right.
And they're going to have pretty good chance from the garden variety artillery. So we're not having a whole lot of conversation. It is boom, boom, boom. You're sneaking into a secret location right in the middle of the city, less than 1 kilometer away. These are old people. Let's get you what you need. Nothing here is chill. Boom, get you out, get you home.
Filling their
that's
bags, giving you a hug, saying thank you, and running.
Yeah, there's different, the security situation could be of greater or lesser intensity, but it's always intense. And, So sometimes we have more of time to engage, but we're really trying to hustle and get people in and out.
Doing this a couple of years already, you determined from the resources to get supplies that in order to cover the things you need to cover for each individual, it costs somewhere between $10 or $11 a person to hook them up for a month.
Yes. So we give them food, medicine, hygiene, warmth, and clothing
Every month.
Every month. We try and the plan
And that's
originally was
right now,
yeah.
900 people, which when you do the math is 10 grand.
Roughly, yes, and we really need to be at about 2,000. But the key is it's a program of assistance, and people need that stuff. Not just they come back every month. So this is a project where basically we're trying to fund it for the life of the project because the minimum runway here is 12 months. This place is the humanitarian situation is not going to change even if the hot war ended right now for at least 12 months, because in order for that to happen, there needs to be an economy, so people have jobs, and this place needs to be rebuilt.
Restoration of the infrastructure. And so, yeah, it's a hot mess. And so right now it's a matter of dealing with the hottest of situations for a minimum of a year, and you need to have money flowing, which means you need commitments that are ongoing, because otherwise, like I've heard you say, it's just a one-trick pony. And somebody had lunch 3 days ago and didn't. They need to have lunch every day.
It's beggars can't be choosers, so I'm grateful for anything. And frankly, the plan was never to. I never would have envisioned serving on the scale, and we self-financed for years, and even set up the free store. This was I didn't want to solicit, could do that with some friends, and so we have the infrastructure. We got a fleet of vehicles, 2 ambulances, corporate apartment, big ass office here. It takes some, and I still pay for the overhead, which I've kind of financed the organization myself. So we're just trying to get funding for the additional food, medicine, hygiene, clothing, so we can serve 2,000 a month for 12 months or 18 months, as opposed to the 900 right now.
Right.
So,
So,
yeah, it's
there's
gnarly.
going to be a link once this gets published, and if I have a free hand, let me put it up here. Hang on. Keep on talking. Let's see if I can do this.
No, Bob, just let me say thank you to all of your friends and followers. You're all good people. There's I've never done this before. I never envisioned being in this position, and fundamentally what I've sought to do is just to connect with good human beings and go on faith that people like you and others would, good people would recognize the situation, be attracted to the merits of the mission and support it. And over time, that's kind of what's happened. I don't believe in promoting anything. I'm not,
in peacetime, I've had experience with this. When Hurricane Ivan smacked into Grenada, I provided relief, and I moved in 90 days. I moved 6 million pounds of cargo, which you can't do there, and I raised $3 million for them. But that was through corporate access. I could call a certain number in Texas and get a 727 from FedEx to go run around the country and collect pallets of stuff and then go fly to Grenada. And it didn't cost anybody anything for any of that. It just took my time to set it up. And so, when I met you and found this, I'm like, ooh, okay.
But you make a good point.
This is work.
Bob, and I'm sorry to interject, and thank you for what you've done. You've held a history. And I should point out that people think, there's got to be programs out there where you can, avail yourself of large quantities of humanitarian assistance. And there are, but here's the problem. this situation just doesn't exist. And so those programs do not contemplate the frontline environment, and do not fit. In the easiest, just to give you an example, this is the one big city that was occupied. There is a significant contingent of the population that does not have their documents, and so that is typically.
I'm going to walk us to a quieter spot.
It's very standard to ask people to, as an accountability measure, for example, they present their documents. You can, and that way you can kind of indicate where every box went. This is just one example, but that kind of basic thing is not possible here for the simple reason that lots of people very understandably don't have their documents, and frankly, bureaucracy here really puts people at risk. So the big programs that do exist kind of contemplate they don't contemplate being 1 kilometer from the front, and they just don't work in this kind of environment. So I wanted to add that as well, which is why people like you are so important.
Yeah, I'm going to see if I can. We have a local, and I'm guessing she's still local, a local mega donor, and that is Jeff Bezos' ex-wife, who has collected, I want to say, a $30 billion with a B dollar divorce settlement, and has given away about $17 billion to various different charities. And all I got to do, and I'm like 15 minutes from where he used to live, where they used to live, before he started selling books and then created Amazon. So for all, and they're well known locally, and for all I know, she's still here. And small world, see if I can find her, because in one fell swoop that she would never feel, she could solve the problem for you and a whole bunch of other people there.
It saved out literally thousands of lives, I mean,
tens of thousands.
Quite possibly, for sure. She would certainly, a quarter $250,000 funds, it gets us home realistically.
Right.
You know what I mean? So yes, the challenge for us has been, I mean, it didn't happen overnight. The situation evolves very quickly, and that's especially the case the closer you get to the war. Of course, we're directly on it. So the situation was one thing. When we just stepped into a need, and the need that we stepped into was something that we could manage, and then the situation just kept just enveloped us.
Right.
And so the ability to stay alive, number one, which is a challenge. Two, conduct the massive operations that we have even right now. And then three, I mean, Christina does the job of 12. I do the job of 8. And we're lucky if we get a signal, most of the time. It's pretty overwhelming. But yeah, somebody like that has the ability to kind of just, I mean, we could put a statue of her right out in the courtyard. It would be intact for about 4 hours, but we could get some pictures of it.
Be prepared for a call from me to have a conversation with her personal assistant. I'm going to work on that, and that is kind of a real world goal that is more than possible. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and when you need who you know, and who doesn't step up. I mean, okay, so long as the media doesn't stay silent, I'm seeing obviously more when I follow the internet sources of news than I see here on a network. Yes, CBS came in and did a story. NBC came in and did a story. But nobody provides the background that somebody like you does. And you know, your life there is 24/7, 365, and stuff's happening, and the town is burning without flame. And that story is just not
You know,
getting out.
it's not, and it's an example of a larger phenomena that's been kind of, you know, one of the outtakes from this experience. But it's really this simple. The people that need the help the most are the closest to the war, but you know, those are the areas that are the most dangerous. So, you know, there's not a lot of people that go there, and to the extent that they do, they run in and run out. There's not, you know, we don't have journalists here, and we don't have resident journalists here. We don't have, you know, I might be the only, you know, the only foreigner. I mean, places off limits to, you know, to foreigners. We don't, you know, you don't have resident journalists here. Curfew is at 9 p.m. You know, things are, once it's dark, you got to be inside. There's stuff blowing up all the time. If you're outside, you know, there's no gatherings. It's not society as you would know it. It's different further away from the war. So you don't have that kind of coverage. The other thing is, you know, the most important truth about the war is where the war is. And, you know, the war is where the Russian soldiers are and where they were. Where they were is right here. Where they are right now is down the street. So you have, you know, further away from the war, it's safer, frankly, more comfortable. You have you have journalists that are based there. There's just, it's the most important truth, including the most important truth about the people that need help the most, really doesn't get told in any meaningful way. That's my experience. That's somewhat shocking, but that is, you know, I mean, to me, the grand paradox of all this is it's the people that need the help by far the most that don't get it at all. The lion's share goes to those that are further away from the war, that really, you know, by definition, don't have the life and death need. And the most important truth about the war doesn't get told because it's in the same place. In the end, there's only one. If you want to help the people that need it the most, there's no way to do that without somebody, you know, being there. And those are the most dangerous places. And there's no way to get the truth that's the most important about the war, which is right, you know, is close to the war as well, without somebody going there and getting it.
Right.
And there's frankly not a lot of people that can do that. And
it's you're in a lockdown, unsafe situation, which impedes that message from going out, other than what you put out or the internal word of mouth making its way to the Facebook group Ukraine News, or, you know, something like that. Hi, Lynn. Haven't seen you in a while. Hope you're doing well. This is my friend Ben.
Hey, Lynn, how are you?
If you're still here.
Bob.
So yeah, dude, where there's a will, there's a way, and you know I have the will, so I'm gonna find the way, and then you can make a little, I don't know, like a G.I. Joe of me to go along.
On it already. I'm working on it already, right out in the courtyard, Bob. Like, I don't know how long it's gonna last.
Right, just don't stick any pins in it.
No, we appreciate it, man. You know, in the difficult moments, and there's difficult moments every day, Christina and I usually just look at each other and we have a saying. We just say, "Вы знаете, что есть добрые люди в мире." You know, there's good people in the world. And that's the hope. And where there's good people in the world, there's hope. And, you know, you reflect that, Bob and Lynn, and, you know, all of the good people. And little by little, I mean, look, it's you know, I see the people that we need to serve that we're not right now because we don't have capacity. But you can look at what we're serving. It's a fucking miracle. This is a love factory. It's less than 1 kilometer from the front, a secret location. There's 900, there's really 1,000 if you include the people that are coming in and getting the things that they need to save a life. And that's humanity. Humanity's done that. People like you have done that. We just need to keep doing it and grow it. That's the drone finder.
Did you just hear a drone?
The drone finders in here. If you want to know how many little machines that you can't see or hear, I mean, there's always at least one up there, so I don't really pay much attention. It goes off like the season.
What are the free store days again?
Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 11 to 1. Again, you know, we're not. It's a secret location. We're trying to. So we're not just generally open, and people can't just generally go outside.
Right.
You're coming if you're on the list, and Christina has you know, we rotate them in. So
could we next week maybe get together while the free store is seeing its guests,
Absolutely.
and we chat and get to see your citizens coming and going?
Absolutely. And as you probably know, I try and do that with the
With
lives
the
on the
videos, yeah.
platforms.
Yes.
Absolutely. Sometimes the security situation is more or less intense, but if it's a little bit less, I like to, yeah. I mean, I would love to have people see that. I think it's impactful.
Works for me. Anything else in parting? Because I've got to wrap this up, get onto a project that I started and then left.
30-second closing argument, we'll call it. Thank you, Bob. Thank you, and thank you all of your friends. You'll never know how important you are, and Christina sees people, just ordinary people, especially in the most powerful country in the world, the most relevant country in the world, and it gives them a tremendous amount of hope. So thank you. And she even popped in because she wanted to say it herself.
I want to say personally, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, for your interest, and for your intention. For Khersonians people, it's very important. For us, very important to understand that we're not alone in this very difficult and dark time. And you hope. You do very big and important work for me, for my people, for my city. I'm very grateful for this. Thank you very much.
It's true. Thank you, guys.
It's in my heart to do it, and I'm happy to do it. That's just the way it is. Folks, before I cut away, I put a link up that says donate, and there is a PayPal there, there's a Venmo there, and small donations add up. So whatever, use Venmo and click the link, make a donation. Anything that is sizable that you want a receipt for. Ben has a 501c3, not for profit. And right now, through my 501c3, from the protocol, I'm sponsoring 15 people every month. So
It's awesome.
you guys, if everybody sponsors one, that's $10. Go for
We
it.
love you, man.
You know,
On behalf of the people
it's
here.
what
Love you.
I see, what you guys don't necessarily see unless you're surfing for that news through the internet and you come upon local, is that children are dying in a huge way. The Russians are terrorizing the people of Ukraine. They're dropping bombs in parks, on schools, anywhere where they can make somebody cry and feel terrorized. They want to do damage. And the only way that we can help right now is to keep those people alive who otherwise would not be able to. So, Ben, Chris, thanks for the time. And I'll talk to you later on, probably today or tomorrow anyway.
Thank you, brother. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Slava Ukraini.
Героям слава.
Folks, thanks for coming in. And I'm going to republish this so anybody who came in late gets to see it. We'll talk later. Thanks for joining me. Till next time. And we'll talk about neuropathy.